In this video I'm going to tell you how I changed my life and quit alcohol and caffeine. Now you may be quite happy with your life and that's fine. For many of us, and quite often, modern life is just overwhelming. For many years I felt overwhelmed by my life, and at the end of each working day I felt like I needed a stiff drink just to calm everything down. Unfortunately, life continued to be overwhelming, and so I continued to feel like I needed a stiff drink at the end of the day. And in the end, it required more alcohol to get the same effect. And that's true of any drug you become addicted to. And obviously for me, this now led to a morning hangover. So now I began each day with strong coffee. And not only began the day with strong coffee, but because the caffeine seemed to overcome the hangover, I drank caffeine throughout the day to keep going. By the time the late afternoon came, I was so jittery from caffeine overdose that again I felt I needed like a stiff drink, even if the day hadn't been overwhelming. Now the caffeine was so cranked up, I needed alcohol to calm everything down just so I could get to sleep. Obviously this was all gradual, but quite soon I was on this treadmill of caffeine in the morning to crank me up and cheap red wine in the evening to calm me down. Without me realising it, my coping strategy had now become my life. But that was not the life I had planned for myself. And that brings me to my second point, that I asked a profound question. And the question I asked was, what if I put all the effort I was putting into my coping strategy into creating a life I didn't want to escape from? I remember when I had that, it was like a light bulb coming on. It was an absolute revelation. I was quite excited because I thought, I don't even know if this is possible, but I'm putting all this effort in just keeping things calm and keeping going and being able to get through the day, but it's no life. But what if I put that effort into creating a new life I didn't want to escape from? It was a radical question. What would that be like? Was it even possible to create a new life? What were the steps? And that brings me to my third point, that I took the steps and I worked the steps to create a new life. You have to take the steps. And for me, it took about 3 years to get from where I was to where I wanted to be. But I've got to tell you, it's so worth it. I'm so much happier. I feel so much more free, so happy and much more healthy than I did back then. And I started that process over 10 years ago. So, about 3 years in, I would say, I saw the transformations for sure. So I've had 7 years of a greatly improved and transformed life. Much happier, much healthier. But looking back, I realised you have to take action. I think I'd had ideas before that, but I never, I gave up at the first hurdle. And often that was just trying to quit alcohol. I found that so difficult. And when I didn't get the breakthrough on that, I just gave up and carried on as normal. But I realised early on that what I needed to do was get rid of alcohol and get rid of caffeine from my life. Those were the two things that I felt that there was a definite addiction to, because the thought of going through the day without caffeine or alcohol used to terrify me. But now, 7 years of having neither, I'm loads happier, and maybe a little bit different for each of us. Another thing I did was I kept a journal for lots of things, but one of the main things was to write down the things that caused me anxiety, and it was doing that, writing that down. Didn't do it every day, but I imagined it as a daily journal. But most days when I woke up in the morning, I'd just spend 5 or 10 minutes just writing some thoughts down. And it was during that time I realised that caffeine was the big issue, because caffeine was causing huge amounts of additional anxiety on top of life. And it was the anxiety that was causing me to drink in the evenings. And I know lots of people can't imagine a life without caffeine, and they've tried to quit and couldn't. And we're all different. There's no judgment here anyway, anywhere on this channel about anything you're struggling with. But for me, the caffeine thing was the easiest. I literally just went to decaf overnight. And I know, keen coffee drinkers will say it tastes disgusting. Yeah, you've got to find the right decaf for you. And I tried several, and I sort of settled on one or two. And I've changed them over the years a little bit, and I don't even want to say which ones they are, but because it'll be different for you. But you just need to try a few different ones. The other thing I realised was that not only was life overwhelming, but I realised I had massive emotional trauma from my past. And there were things, it was mostly grief trauma, but there were things that I thought I dealt with. There were things I thought I'd come to terms with. But an incident happened, my best friend died, and it all came surging back up. And I realised I really needed to do something about that. And I'd tried everything I could do on my own, and that hadn't worked. And people talk about going to counselling therapy, and I just couldn't see how talking about it to someone, to a stranger, would help. But I would say that's the single biggest thing that set me free, is dealing with all that crap from the past. But I also did lots of other things, as well as quitting caffeine, quitting alcohol, and getting some counselling. I did lots of other things that we haven't got time to go into here, but it's completely transformed my life. I'm so much happier. Even, this last couple of years, there's been some big changes in my life, some real hard challenges, financial and organisational, and it would normally have stressed me right out, and it has been stressful, but nothing like the stress that would have been caused in my old life and my old way of coping with things. So I've dealt with the things, and it's a work in progress, but I'm just happy when I get up. I'm happy to start the day. I look forward to the day. If you do want to know the whole process that I used, I've written a book, and there's a link in the description below. You can download it right now. It's 130 pages. It's not some crappy little ebook scam, but it is 130 pages, and I've put down in there everything I can think of, that if you were in my position and you weren't happy with your alcohol consumption, you weren't happy with your life, and you wanted to get free, these 130 pages, and there's no filler, it's very concise information. If you wanted to get free and use the process I've used, that's what this book is. And there's a link in the description below. You can download it right now in ebook format, and it's also available in paperback if you want that. And the ebook version download costs less than a cheap bottle of red wine, so I'll just say that. If you don't want that and you just like another free video about how to improve your life, you can watch this video here. If you got value from this video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, hit the little bell icon, you'll get notifications of new videos, and I'll see you in the next video.